scoring tries so often, but actually Hannah Butcher up against Amy Hardcastle, really good work by her. And I do think Caitlin Beavers in the left centre defensively read everything really well. She shut down Roberts until she got injured, but she also shut down Rebecca Rotherham as well.
Twice,
Every time the ball went near her, she read it perfectly. And because she's a nippy little player who can get in and around people, but putting a fast player there who can make a quick decision, great stuff by Leeds to do that. I wonder though if that took a bit out of them in attack, because Beavers is better at full back, and Butcher, she was the half-back until they signed Georgia Roach, so or the standoff, so she is a ball player, and I don't think she got much chance to play the ball because she was so busy trying to tackle those powerful legs of Hardcastle. So I don't know if that took a bit out of them in attack, and it meant that when they did have such good field position consistently in the first half, they didn't capitalise on it well enough, I thought. And I thought Hill and Roach were decent at getting them towards the right end of the field, and the forward pack was really good for Leeds in the first half, but I don't think they came up with any clutch plays, the two former Women of Steels, and that was a little bit disappointing for me. They showed they were good, but they didn't show they were game breakers, and that was a shame. There
were so many opportunities that you could see. You thought you saw gaps and breaks, and there were lots of time on the line that you felt like something was coming. There was a try coming, and it just didn't seem to work out. I was really impressed by the dummy half for Leeds. I thought her passing,
Bennett.
Her passing. She's so wide of the ruck, and she it's dead accurate. It's the chest, big passes. I was really impressed with.
I think the evolution of the skills in the women's games is clear to see. But then I do think St Helens showed their class as the game went on. In the second half, Cunningham started playing a little bit wider and being more part of the passing movement, but it meant that she could read a bit better the opponents up against, and that's what led to a try where she was able to make the right decision and cut through and take it herself and things like that. And I think when Emily Rudge came on, that changed things. She showed that she is a incredibly high quality player.
I thought I'm going to there's the other second rower, Travis. Thought she had a great game as well. Is it Paige Travis?
I think she had a solid game. I think I've seen her play better, but
she was aggressive. She was running hard. Like I expect there was points in the game where looked like she was the best player. I thought she cheated as well to get a scrum for a knock on. What was right before Burke's try? In fact, I think she sort of ripped the ball out with her leg and got the knock on.
Well. Christian Wolf did go down to one of the training sessions this week, didn't he? So that explains that, doesn't it? The other, did you think it was inevitable that Saints were going to come back in the second half?
I didn't, because I don't follow the women's game as much as probably you do, so I just saw that there were two teams and that Leeds, I remember Leeds being a good women's team, not doesn't feel that long ago, and I felt like these were every bit as good, and they were a real match for each other, and I did think up to the missed kick in the second half, missed loads of stuff to talk about in that. I thought Leeds were definitely the equal of, if not better.
The big thing about that play as well is it was going to bounce dead, and the Leeds player tried to bat it back in, thinking that someone could pounce on it and score, but she didn't get it right, and so she basically took it dead. And if she'd have let it go dead, it would have been a dropout, wouldn't it? And instead it was a 7-tackle restart, and I think it was on the fourth tackle of the set, so the fifth tackle as it were, but they had a 7-tackle set, was when the try was scored by Cunningham, which gave Saints the lead at that point, and a lead that they didn't look like giving back up then.
Leeds just looked gassed immediately. It sort of sucked the life out of them, missing that kick. I think they thought they were getting it. They thought they were taking the lead, and then when they didn't, it seemed to it seemed to just take some of the spirit out of them, and they weren't getting off the line. There was no line speed, and you could see they were gassed, and it felt inevitable then.
Both teams were getting players like coming up with what looked like cramp type injuries and stuff like that, but that shows that game was a more intense game than they've been used to playing. I think is where that's come from. I was confident, it made me more confident from an England perspective as well, because Daniel Anderson being back for Leeds after some injuries, and she was their number 10, and then Chantal Crowell, who's the most intimidating player in the women's game.
Did she play a full 8?
Yeah, she did, and you can see, I think they both did, to be honest, but you can see that she's physically bigger than the others, but at the same time, these girls are athletes. They're not like big lasses in the amateur game that you get as front rowers. You know, you big people in the front row because they've just put on weight, sort of thing, is what you sometimes see. But you're not seeing that now in the women's game as much. You're seeing more actual looking like athletes in the front row. And Chantal Crowell and Anderson, their performances, I don't think they'll play 80 minutes in the World Cup for England, but it means that they can both. That's 2 front rowers you've got nailed on. Then when you throw in some of the other players that are around at York, or the lass who's just gone from Huddersfield to, I can't remember her name, just gone from Huddersfield to Saints, who used to be at Cass. There's a couple of other front rowers now that there's lots of chance to rotate, and so they can perform like this in these games, big minutes. But they won't have to do that in the World Cup, so they can have more of an impact. I think that's quite exciting from an England point of view. Yeah,
and from that athlete perspective, Zoe Hornby, I wasn't expecting her to be as quick. She's rapid, isn't she? She really got that turn of pace that I wasn't expecting from, because she's a back rower, isn't she?
Made plenty of meters like throughout the game, really, didn't she? Yeah. So well done to St Helens retaining their trophy. They are the best side, and they're still to be knocked off the perch in the women's game. So congratulations to them. I hope they enjoyed the celebrations on Saturday night. One news story to cover that's women's rugby league related, so we'll throw it in here. The 2022 Super League Grand Final will return to the Totally Wicked Stadium in St Helens on Sunday, September the 18th. There was an application process open to all Betfred Women's Super League clubs, and Saints won that process. And the semi-finals, though, are going to be played 2 weeks before, on the 4th of September, and that's at Headingley. So we know what's going to happen at the end of it. We don't know the fixtures yet, because Cass have been dropped down to Super League 2, so it's now a 5-team Super League. So there's fixtures have to be redrawn up, but that's going to be kicking off in a couple of weeks' time. So all exciting stuff for the women's game there.
Yeah, fantastic.
But let's move on to the men's game.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've contained myself. It was Wigan 20, St Helens 18. It was almost perfect first half for Wigan, 14-0 at half time, but Saints did come back into it, take a lead, and then Wigan managed to get over the line in the end. 22,141 was the crowd for the men's semi-finals, so that was the total crowd on the day. James Child was the referee in this one. Do you want to take us through the try scorers?
For the winners, sound nice.
Oh yes.
Wigan Warriors. Liam Marshall got 2 tries. Cade Cust got 1, and the very slippery Liam Farrell also got 1 too. And then for the losing Saints, Conrad Hurrell, Johnny Lomax, and James Roby with a try apiece.
Yeah, so first fan view at MikeWebb58, he said, "What a game, what a sport, could have gone either way. Saints nearly did the impossible and then threw it away. However, the intensity of the match made the mistakes of both teams understandable. Finally, never ever make rugby league fans go to that third-rate hole that is Ellen Road. Makes the away end at Headingley desirable." It is.
It's old school.
There's no stadium in other stadiums that sort of level of capacity and standing and stuff that still has wooden seats, I think, and also still has asbestos roofs by the looks of it.
The guy that I went with actually is a City fan, and he said it reminded him of Main Road. That was knocked down a long time ago, but I think that the acoustics in the corner where we were tremendous. I think that it was brilliant for that, and all those old stadiums are.
Yeah, the atmosphere felt good at our end as well during both games. Well, until 20 minutes into the second game, but for the most part,
yeah. But the leg room, I'm only 5'9", and the leg room wasn't great for me. So
not ideal. No. Not Anfield bad.
No.
But similarly, not Rugby League stadium good.
Yeah. So Brendan Loftus said, great game, great atmosphere, great pundits on the desk, not so great adding commentary. Great work by the Wigan Baldy left edge up against Saints' dodgy right edge. Good to see the ref pinging the Saints offsides and high shots from Suriname, although they got away with forward passes again. Perhaps James is a regular listener to the pod. Maybe.
Well, he heard me saying I think he's been the best ref so far this year, wasn't he, recently? So, Callum Percy 99 said, get the fuck in. Thought we had bottled it after a fantastic first half, but thanks to Marshall, we managed to grab the win. What an atmosphere that Wigan end was. I was finally allowed into the ground with a drum. Resulted in a piss wet through jumper, blistered hand, and a one really pissed Callum. Glad to hear Fatboy Rob enjoyed the after party. Bit of context there. Firstly, he broke his drumsticks. Right. So he's had to order new drumsticks. Secondly, after the Wigan game, for about half an hour, just underneath where we were sat, the entrance next to where we were sat, the bar where we were going to get our drinks from and stuff, basically at the bottom of those steps, so in between the steps and the bar, Callum and his merry followers basically just stood singing Wigan songs, him banging the drum for about 20 minutes, half an hour. I got a video of it. Of some of it, which was really good fun. But and Rob literally said to me, he said, will you message Callum and tell him to shut up? And I said, I don't think he's going to be getting his phone out. But then about 2 seconds after he said it, Callum, he stopped and they ended off. But great atmosphere.
And then Coming Up Roses said, great game by the one-man Wigan team, in inverted commas. Lomax's attempted pass was a shocker that gifted Marshy. At the end of the day, though, the better team won. Start of the season, I wasn't expecting much, but we really seem to be growing game by game. There is only one more thing to say. We're off to Spurs.
David at Pen Hits Paper said, a thrilling semi-final with drama to the last. Wigan came out composed and measured, and Saints threw everything at them in the second half. A brilliant scalp for Matt Pete in his first semi-final against the old enemy, especially when you consider only Saints missing Dodds and Lomax lack of fitness caught the headlines. Never mind, Wigan were missing their usual 7 and 9. Harry Smith kicked excellently. Spurs, here we come. Yes, David.
And Esther simply said, thought Wigan was going to mess it up, but a good try at the end won it.
Fatboy Rob said, a near perfect first half for the Pies. Even an increase in Saints' shithouse tactics in the second half weren't enough for them to pull it back completely. The best team won. I thought the Wigan fans were excellent. Even when they went behind, they still got behind the team.
Yeah, sounds like he's on the turn, Fatboy Rob.
There was look, if you look at the pictures of the Wigan end, you can clearly see Rob and Joe, and they were enjoying it.
Oh wow!
But no, there was, when Roby scored, there was like a hush for about 30 seconds, and then the whole Wigan stand, fans erupted again. Probably you didn't hear it because the Saints fans were still celebrating. But the team were right in front of us at that point, and the fans all went back up, singing straight away, which I guess would have lifted the players.
Yeah, fantastic. So Frogmore, another simple one for me, said, well, that didn't go to plan.
Nope, it did. Jen Kay said, well, what a great day at Ellen Road. Wigan needed a good start and got it. After Saints' resurgence, I thought we were finished. It didn't help seeing Joey Lussick warming up, as one of his trademark tries would have sunk us. He nearly got one well, didn't he? He did about 3 try savers on the day. It didn't help seeing... Wigan's support needs mentioning, as it was brilliant throughout. We all have sore throats today. Logistics for Tottenham have already been decided and tickets bought.
Wow. Mark W said, you've got to credit Saints for a solid start to the second half, but generally it felt like too much of their effort was put into keeping field quiet, which is the case for most teams this season, allowing the rest of the side a bit more freedom to do their thing. Over the course of 80 minutes, Wigan just looked like they wanted it more.
Matt Speakman said, "Great to meet Mark at the game," and he told me to do as many fan reviews as I did. I wasn't even drunk. I was just so excited. I was like, "Send in 7." So here goes. I have lots to mention. I've never seen Saints battered so much in years as they were in the first half. Yes, they played poorly, but because we put them under so much pressure and didn't let them play. That hasn't been mentioned enough. BBC banged on about their injuries even though we were in a worse situation. Never once mentioned Powell, Luluai, KPP